saved them here. But what happened to me is I realized that I had to quit blaming everybody else. And I had to start looking at myself and saying, okay, the only common denominator between all these losers is me. Is me. And so, what am I doing to empower my coaches and not just enable them? Because here's what I was doing. I was doing it for them. They were asking me a question. Oh, that little rumble sounded good. Y'all are with me. So I'm doing it for them. They're asking me a question, and instead of telling them where to find the answer, I'm giving it to them. When they're telling me I need a training on something, I'm doing it instead of looking into my organization to find somebody that's even better at it than me and asking them to come in. So one of the examples that was driving me batty is I was like, why does nobody want to speak on my team call? Why am I the only one that has anything to say about this business? Are we not all doing the same thing every single day? Surely one of y'all has something that you can contribute that I haven't taught on yet. And then again, I asked myself, Michelle, have you ever invited anybody to speak on your stinking team call? Have you ever just extended that opportunity to them to let them know that you believed in them enough to ask them to do that for you? So I did a really crazy thing. I started asking people, do you know what happened? They were honored, and they were excited, and they were willing. Were all of them ready just yet? No, but it opened up the dialogue for me to find out what skills do I need to work with them on to develop so they're ready for that. Because the reality is they are going to need to run their team calls if they're going to run their own organization. They can't stay in my team for forever. They've got to expand their wings. They've got to move on. But I've got to be there with them to guide them. And so that's when I started wondering, instead of blaming, what can I do to be blameless? And I found an exponential system that's in a book called Exponential by Dave and John Ferguson. And so I'm going to walk you through this example, giving you the example of presenting the business, because that's a pain point for a lot of new coaches. Do y'all remember the first time you presented the business? Wasn't it terrible? I don't remember anything that I said, but I hope I said the company name right. But it was awful. And so how can we make sure, because that's a critical part of growing a team, right? Can you grow a team without presenting the business? No. They got to learn how to do that. So the first step in this system is I do, you watch, we talk. So what this means is I'm going to present the business while they watch me. And then afterwards, we're going to have a conversation about it. Now there's a couple ways that we can do this. For the first time, I will either say, you get a group of people together on a phone call, or you get me one person, I don't care if it's your mom, but you get somebody on the phone, and I'll present the business, you're going to listen, and then we're going to talk afterwards. Or they can listen to our recording that I have in the archive of just me presenting the business on a team webinar. And they can listen to that, and then we can schedule a call to follow up after that to have a conversation. And the conversation is really going to be, what did you learn? Did you want to sign up again? You know, but I want to know what resonated with them. What parts of that did they need to develop their own? What parts were my story where they need to fill in their story? And so I want to help them to be able to do that, because the next step is we do, and then we talk. So it's not an option to do a recording for this one. They've got to have somebody or somebodies that they want to present the business with me to. So they do part of the presentation, I do part of the presentation, and then after that, we're going to have a conversation again to where, what did you feel comfortable with? What did you not feel comfortable with? What parts did I do this time that you need to develop so that you can do it on your own next time? And again, it's a conversation that we have. So step 3, they're going to do. I'm going to watch, and we're going to talk. So I'm there in case everything falls apart. If anything happens, it's like, you know, I would feel a little bit better about walking on a tightrope if there was one of those big, ginormous nets and trampolines underneath it, to where you're like, okay, this is a little scary, but There is a big trampoline, and I am not going to plummet to my death. And so my coaches know that I'm there just in case they need me. But they don't ever need me. By that point, they're ready. It's just like the confidence booster. Like, remember when you were like 5 and the first thing you did when you got on a stage for a school play was to look to find your mama? Yeah. It's the same thing, is they just know that you're there. They just know you're there. And so we're going to have a conversation after they do it again, to where I'm going to give them constructive feedback, to where there's anything they need to work on, anything they need to make clear. I'm also going to make sure that I emphasize the stuff that they did really, really well, so that they feel more confident. Because the next step of this is the most exciting part. It's the part where they do it, and somebody in their organization is watching them. And then they're going to talk to them. And so it's a system that multiplies, that requires of us, the leader in the beginning, a lot more, which is P.S., what it should be. It should require more from us in the beginning. But then it evolves to where it requires more from them toward the end. Now, is this a foolproof system? Meaning, do every single one of my coaches who start this finish it? No, it's not. There are some people that they get to the we do, and then the next time they have to do it by themselves, and it never gets there. But who's blameless in this equation? I'm blameless in this equation. I've done everything that I can. I've helped them, and I've gotten them as far as I can get them. And sometimes we'll do the we do a couple of times if they're not ready. But eventually, they're going to have to move on to that next step. But instead of blaming, I've done what I can do to be blameless in my organization. And so, give this system a try. Anytime that you've got to develop a skill that you know is going to be required for them to be a team leader, for them to hit that next step on the leadership ladder, they need to have the confidence from you that they can do it. And what this does is when you're teaching them, because I mean, I've done this to where I have a leader that I know is amazing and has a lot to share with our team, but just doesn't have that confidence yet to lead a team call. So we'll do that call together, and I'll kind of interview them. And then, all of a sudden, they see that it's not as scary, and they can do it. And so when you follow this kind of system, when you think about having a team that really works together, it makes it feel a whole lot less like dumping responsibility on people, but you're truly just delegating and letting other people shine. Because there's a big difference in dumping and delegating, right? Big difference. All right, so let's talk about the biggest difference between top performers and average performers.